عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الحمد لله الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Welcome everybody from around the world. My name is BILAL Abdul Kareem and this is the BAK show, where we're going to be discussing some things which are important to you, the Muslim Ummah at large. Of course, I am your host, BILAL Abdul Kareem, and we are coming at you live. Brothers and sisters, we're going to be discussing some things here today, and we're going to want to know what you think about it. So you can send your questions, your comments, and or your concerns. It's a family show, so keep it clean. All right, everybody. As everybody knows, we're into the second week of a war between Iran and Israel. And now it's billed as the Israelis are attacking because the Iranians are building a nuclear weapon. Now that's what has been said. And well, I don't know. We're going to discuss it. But first, let's go to the mat. Let's get you guys up to speed in terms of what this situation is like. This is Iran. This is Israel. Now, this, of course, is Syria. We've got Iraq here. And so this is what it looks like. There's a huge land expanse, 1,000 kilometers between the two. So they're shooting rockets and bombs back and forth to one another. So this is what it looks like geographically. You can imagine that, of course, we feel the effects here, even in Syria. Now, I want you to take a look at something here. Look at this. You see, this, what you're about to see, is what is tipping the scales. Now, we kind of started this thing by talking about who's winning, who's being more successful so far. Take a look at this. This video right here was from earlier this morning, and this is in the heart of Tel Aviv. Now, as you can see, there's destruction everywhere. It looks more like Syria than Tel Aviv. Fires are still burning. You can see parts of the building are sheared off. That's what the Israelis are dealing with. Now, are the Israelis hitting Iranian cities? Absolutely. Are the Israelis hitting military installations also? Absolutely they are. But there's a big difference between the two. One is that the Iranians are Iranians. That is their home. That's where they live. There's no place for them to go. They might go from one city to the next, depending on what the bombing is like, but that's the situation there. But if you look at this, the Israelis are not indigenous there. That's right, I said it. They're from Poland, they're from America, they're from Britain, they're from Canada, or they're from other places around the world. So they're not accustomed to seeing that. Let me be clear with you. Getting their cities bombed, they don't have the resilience that Syrians and other than them have when their homes are being bombed. That's why you see that there are a lot of Israelis that are heading towards the exits and taking ferries from the Israeli territories into Cyprus, where incidentally the people are shouting at them once they get off of the boats from Israel, saying, free, free Palestine, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. So this is what the Israelis are looking at. And that's why I'm saying, I'm not going to tell you who's winning, but I'm going to say is that the Israelis are inflicting losses and heavy losses on the Iranians. But this is major business also, because the Israelis are just not accustomed to that. Now, you got to understand something here, brothers and sisters. This war started just about, this is in its like 8th or 9th day. Vladimir Putin, which is the Russian president, he stated yesterday that the Iranians did not ask for their help and that they want to rely on themselves. But he did make clear that if they do need their help, then perhaps they will help them. That's a huge statement. Now we're 8 days deep, 9 days deep, and that's the Iranian position. But oh, wait a minute, what's the Israeli position? The Israelis are saying you've got all the different Israeli politicians who are coming forth saying that we need America's help. We want America's bunker busters so that we can take down some of their nuclear installations built into mountains. We need America. The former defense minister Yoav Gallant, he came forward and he said that America should take up this obligation in order to be able to dismantle the weapons program, so on and so forth, which is what he said. Okay, but hold on a second, dude. This war is only 8 or 9 days deep, and you calling for America already? You notice the contrast with the Iranians. The Iranians are saying that we don't want Russia's help right now. I tell you, don't really believe that, but I would say is that it's clear to me that the Iranians have something that they feel that they can inflict heavy losses on the Israelis. And the Israelis are already calling for mama. And it's only 8, 9 days deep. And they started this fight. Now, I want you to take a look at this. This guy right here, his name is Elan Levy. Elan Levy is the former spokesperson for the government of Israel. Now, when the October 7th of 2023 attacks took place, he became the main spokesperson in English. And look at what he had to say. He said yesterday, now bear in mind that this guy had, along with others, I'm not just focusing on him, I'm focusing on Israeli supporters that when they bombed hospitals and schools in the Palestinian territories, it was a totally different thing. Look what he says. He said, Iran bombs hospitals and homes deliberately, targeting them. No plausible military target. It's an attempt to massacre Israelis into accepting an Iranian nuclear bomb. Bam! Let's stop for a second. Let's just replace some of these words here. Israel bombs hospitals and homes. The Israelis have bombed 38 hospitals and medical institutions. 38. You can't make this stuff up. If they bomb 1, maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe 4, we could talk about it. But you're not bombing 38 medical institutions and say that, oh, that they're Hamas command and control centers underneath every one of them. It continues. Deliberately targeting them, no plausible military target. They're bombing refugee camps. They're shooting the people who are going for the aid. And the Israelis are talking about, well, we're providing them with thousands of meals every day, and look what the Israelis are doing. Well, who created the situation where they need thousands of meals every day? That's the first thing. So you give out thousands of meals, but how many do you kill in the process? And who ever heard of the entity, the power that's doing a siege and causing a famine, that they're the ones who are entrusted to hand out the aid? You can't make this stuff up, brothers and sisters. You really can't make this stuff up. Okay, so here you have that they're already 8, 9 days deep, and they're crying because they bomb hospitals and homes. Well, what have they been doing in Gaza? What do they do in the West Bank? Deliberately targeting them. Are you telling me that the Israelis aren't doing it themselves? Whether the Iranians are doing it or not, I can't really tell you, but it's very, very early. But for this conflict in Gaza, it's not so early. So, brothers and sisters, let's take a look and see what kind of questions, comments, and or concerns you guys might have. But before I jump into that, I need your help. Brothers and sisters, we are running a project and we desperately need you. We are doing a project called Voices of Truth. Voices of Truth is a project, it's a video project where we are interviewing people all around the country of Syria. I am heading this project, and it is designed to give a voice to people who suffered under the regime of Bashar al-Assad. We need your help in bringing their stories to the forefront. Now, brothers and sisters, please visit our crowdfunding page. That's on medina.com/voices of truth. medina.com/voices of truth. Please do contribute, whether you have $10, $100, anything that you have. We would be so appreciative of it. The crowdfunding page is on your screen now. That's medina.com/voices of truth. Okay, now let's go back and let's take a look at some of the questions, comments, or concerns. We got my man Curdy here, and he says, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Next up, we've got V198 and some more numbers. Do you think Trump will get involved and bomb Iran? No, I don't. I think that it was a very strategic move by the Russians today to say that should Iran ask for their help, that they may be very interested in helping them. That was very strategic. Why? First of all, Donald Trump, the most recent statement that he's put out is that he's going to give it 2 weeks. He's going to make a decision within 2 weeks. Dude, you don't make 2-week decisions when it comes to war. He's trying to wait and see how this thing is going to play out so he can save face. This is the first thing. Donald Trump does not want to get bogged down in a conflict that he may not be able to get out of. It's not about whether he is a man of peace or anything, or a man of war, or anything like that. He has the potential to get bogged down in a conflict that there will be no exit strategy, because there's no exit strategy in the Palestinian conflict. Their goal is to get rid of Hamas. That didn't work out. Their goal is to move all of the people out of Gaza. That didn't work out. The goal was to get Hamas to disarm. Totally forget about that. So none of the goals were reached, and Donald Trump can see that. The world can see that. And he's concerned about getting caught up in this quagmire. So he's hoping that there can be some type of capitulation between now and 2 weeks from now, absolving him of the responsibility of having to be able to make a decision. So Vladimir Putin's statement was huge. He didn't say anything committal. He didn't commit to helping the Iranians, but he also said that the Iranians didn't ask for their help. But know for a certainty that if America jumps in, Iran's going to say, listen, Putin, can you do something for us? Because they'll be fighting for their very survival. They're trading shots now, bearing something in mind that we do know that their nuclear facilities have been hit in the Iranian territories. But we don't know to what extent that damage is. We don't know if they're destroyed, several buildings are destroyed, or what have you, and the Iranians aren't talking. It is possible that the damage could be negligible. It is possible that it could be extensive and their program could be affected. We don't know the answer to that question. And I'm not 100% sure that Donald Trump himself knows that. But no, I don't think that he's going to jump into this fight. That will alienate his base back in the United States, and that would be a real problem for him. Okay. All right, let's take a look at this. We've got Kay here, and he says, Assalamu alaikum, brother Bilal. Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We really appreciate your journalism and clear-cut commentary. Jazakallah khair. Jazakallah khair. Question, from a pragmatic perspective, how do you feel that the Syrian leadership could act for the best interests of the nation? That's easy. And look, you want to talk pragmatism? All right, let's talk pragmatism for a second. The reality of the situation is this. We as an ummah, we have tried that pragmatic approach. We've tried that we're going to go in the direction of the realities on the ground. We have tried the pragmatic approach in that, well, we gotta do business with America, because if we don't, then we just can't go forward. And the pragmatic approach is that we absolutely have to do everything that we can to stay out of a conflict with the Israelis. Now, that's a good thing. Nobody's sitting here saying that we want more war. Nobody's saying that. But I'm saying is that when you've tried all of that, Egypt has tried all of that, Libya has tried pragmatism, Bashar al-Assad was all about pragmatism, Mohammed bin Salman, pragmatic, and Nahyan and all the rest of them. But where did it get them? It got them nowhere. That's real. That's facts on the ground. Pragmatism is all about adapting to the circumstances which are on the ground. And I'm going to go further and extend that definition to irrespective of one's principles. Muslims can't get down like that. Full stop. Muslims cannot get down like that. Why? Number one, we got the best system in the world. We don't have a reason to be pragmatic. We have a reason to be religious and to shape our politics from the religious dynamic, not from the fiqh al-waqi'a or what's on the ground, the current events which are taking place. So the best thing that Ahmed Shara could do is to follow the Islamic law to the best of his ability. Now look, we all heard all the stuff about how, well, we can't implement this and we can't implement that. Okay, well, yo, we got a country. What's up now? What are we going to say now? What are the Americans doing here? The Americans are the arch enemies of the Muslims. They're the friends of these guys right over here, the Israelis. The Americans and the Israelis, they work together. Anything that America will give you isn't happening except that they agreed with Tel Aviv. Anything that America will make easy for you, they're doing it for their and America's benefit, not Syria's benefit. We've got to look at things at this, with this dynamic. And therefore, we can shape our politics from that. That doesn't necessarily mean there's going to be more war. Just look at the Taliban. The Taliban are still there. They're still functioning in a very big way and improving their country. And it's not constant and perpetual war. They're not fighting with Iran. They're not fighting with this one and that one. Once they kicked the Americans out, they didn't try the pragmatic approach. There are no riba-based banks in Afghanistan. But there is banking, but it's not riba-based. In addition to that, they are doing business with other countries. And they're also doing business in their own currency. That's huge. They're not doing it with the dollar. And they're not inviting American companies, along with their American mercenaries, to also to invade their country under the guise of running their ports or setting up a telecom communications network. There are other places who can do that. And that's real, brothers and sisters, and Allah knows best. All right, let's take a look and see what else we have here. We've got Ansar 95 who says, Assalamu alaikum, brother. Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Could you tell us a little bit about the situation in southern Syria? I heard the Druze are planning to create an independent state. I did not hear that the Druze are planning to declare an independent state, but it does not surprise me if it does happen. Why? Because in the southern part of Syria, it's not right here, but I can try to explain it to you. This is southern Syria, okay? This is Suwaydat. That's the stronghold of the Druze community. And they're not all just one community, meaning they all agree, but they are there. Now, over to this side is Quneitra. That area is where it's occupied by the Israelis. And between the two, you've got Dara. Now, Dara is under the control of Damascus. So between the two, you've got Israelis here, and you've got a Druze community and a portion of them who are asking for Israeli support and protection openly. And in between it, you've got just this little sliver of land. How long do you think that that's going to last? I don't think it's going to last that long, particularly because Benjamin Netanyahu said that we don't want any government troops on that southern border. And to my knowledge, up until now, the government in Damascus has been compliant with that. But that doesn't mean that it stopped Israeli forces from coming into Syria. They've come as far into Syria as the city of Newa. You know, you've heard this name before for Imam al-Nawawi, but Newa is in southern Syria. That's 20 kilometers from the Israeli border, and they've come up that far. That's a real problem, brothers and sisters. So let me make it clear to you. So could I see them trying to declare that? I could definitely see that with Israel's support. Israel desperately needs for Syria to be destabilized. That would mean in the northern part of the country to support the Kurdish militia forces, I could see them doing that. And in the southern part of the country, supporting the Druze community to go against the government of Ahmed al-Shara. But also bear one last thing in mind. Understand something. The sanctions haven't been lifted. These are only 180-day waivers for these sanctions. In other words, the sanctions are still in place as they always were, but they've waived them for 180 days. Now, after 180 days, Ahmed Shara and his government has got to go back to Washington and say, hey guys, we're going to renew this thing or what? Now, Washington is going to sit there and say, okay, now, well, let's take a look and see if you've been a good boy or not. That's the way the Americans do. I'm American. I know how my people get down. All right, next up. Okay, there has been speculation about the leadership in Iran fleeing the country to stay in Russia. Al-Assad did. If this happens, who do you think would come to power in Iran? Well, you've got this. Okay, well, let's unpack this. First issue is that speculation that the leadership in Iran will flee to Russia. I don't see that happening. I don't like the Iranian government. I don't like them even a little bit. I think that any government that supported Bashar al-Assad and his murderous, torturous machine are a bunch of bums. That's my opinion of the Iranian government. Now, after having said that, that does not necessarily mean that just because I have dislike or major issues with a government that I'm going to ignore the fact that I think that they are that they will stand and fight. I believe that. I don't see that they're going to just turn tail and run. They might, but I don't see that. That's the first thing. Second thing is that if the Iranian government fell, well, you've already got Reza Pahlavi, who is all of a sudden now all over social media. Now, this Reza Pahlavi is actually the son of the Shah of Iran, Mohammed Pahlavi. He was run out in 1979 by the Iranian people, and that's when the revolution happened, and that's when the current government strain took over the country. Now, that's back in 1979. Some people will say, oh, you know, it was conspiracies and this and that. But look, one thing that was clear, what they used to do to the prisoners during that Mohammed Pahlavi's time is that they would take the prisoners, lay them on a wireframe mattress with the battery next to it, and hook it up to the battery and basically cook the prisoners. They would put gas canisters with a hose into the rectum of some of their prisoners, and when they wanted some to talk, they would put so much gas into some of their less valued prisoners and blow their stomachs open. That's some of the wild stuff that this Reza Pahlavi's pops used to do. Now, he comes along. Where does this Reza Pahlavi live? Oh, wait a minute, he lives in America. Oh, and he's talking about going back to Iran, and he's going to, you know, do some good things in Iran. Strange that his address is in America, isn't it? And in addition to that, the Americans backed his father, and it looks like they would want to back his son. It looks like it's all set up so far, but let's just see if the Iranian government's going to play along. Okay. Let's take a look and see. All right, now we've got here Ansar95 who says, which side do you support? I know both are bad. Well, to be real with you, what I am hoping for is that the Iranians smash the heck out of the Israeli territories. In addition to that, I do not want to see a strong and empowered Iranian military. So I have to be honest with you, because we've seen what that means. That means that they will be exporting their military machine, supporting more people like Bashar al-Assad. Bashar al-Assad was a murderer and a dictator, and they knew it, and they were supporting him 2 days before his fall. So nobody could say that they woke up and it was like, oh man, we didn't know he was doing that. Yo, Bashar, what's up? Yo, we ain't with it. No, they knew it. They were financing Hezbollah or the Hezbollah militia force from Lebanon. They were supporting them and supporting other militia forces to keep the decrepit regime of Bashar al-Assad in place. Well, it didn't work out. So I ain't pulling for the Iranians either. So what I am hoping that happens is that Allah will safeguard the people, the Iranian people, and that they will weaken the Iranian military. But it will also smash the Israelis so that they cannot export their terror into the region in which they've started wars with in Lebanon, Syria, and also with the Iranians. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Well, we got a good comment here by someone who says, there's been speculation about the leadership in Iran of, no, I'm sorry, that's not it. I just read that. Yeah, for years, Israelis have been buying properties in Cyprus. They call Cyprus the second Israel. And now Cyprus has a big problem. The Israeli refugees will call it home and never leave. I admit, that is a problem. That is a problem. Okay, here we go. Why is Jordan helping to get down missiles launched from Iran to Israel? Because they support Israel. That wasn't complicated, was it? Because they support Israel. They can't come out and say that. But look, let's talk business for a second. If you've got Jordan over here and you've got the missiles who are coming in the direction of Israel, when you shoot down that missile, it lands on your territory. It lands on Jordanian homes, Jordanian businesses. That's where those missiles go. It would be more to your national security to let them go. But that's not the way that the Jordanians have been doing it. They have arrested activists who are against what's happening in the Palestinian territories. But this is a long-standing issue for the Jordanians and the Jordanian government. It's a long-standing problem, and there's a big disconnect between the Jordanian people and the government. Okay, Mustafa Krusko, who says, many are wondering why haven't Syrian president or government condemned Israeli attacks on Iran until now? Does Abraham Accords have anything to do with that? I don't know what them folks are doing down there, to be real with you. I'm not going to mince words here. There have been so much door opening. We've got an Emirati company who's going to run the ports. The Emiratis are in lockstep with the Israelis. I don't know what thinking went into that for Ahmed Shara's government to allow the Emiratis to come in here when they've been supporting and the Israelis. The Emiratis are the same ones that were trying just 2 months before Bashar al-Assad fell to bring his government back in out of isolation. That's the Emiratis that are there. They have proven themselves as a government, not as a people, but as an unelected government, that they are enemies of Islam and they fight against any type of Islamic activism wherever it will be. They worked hard to bring down the government of the elected government of Mohammed Morsi, may Allah have mercy on him, in Egypt. And in addition to that, they support Hemeti and the Rapid Support Forces in Sudan, which is the worst humanitarian crisis in terms of sheer numbers on the planet right now. And with Gaza happening out there, that's saying a lot. And it's happening because of who? The Emiratis. Why are they supporting Hemeti? For many different reasons. But Hemeti robs the country of their gold, and they get it to Dubai. They get it to the Emirates. The Emirates then gets the gold, melts it down, and then it's able to be sold. They are the biggest handlers of gold in the world. We're talking about, or one of them in the world, the Emirates. But they have no gold mines. So how Ahmed Shara thought it would be a good idea to include them guys running the ports, I'm sure I have no idea. In addition to that, they are, from what we understand, discussing whether U.S. troops would remain inside of Syrian territory. For me, I don't see what we got to talk about, because having U.S. troops on the ground is the equivalent of having Mossad on the ground. So maybe he's got some type of plan, some type of trick or card up his sleeve. I don't know. But I'm telling you, in my estimation, these are major, major errors, violation of sovereignty. And please don't anybody tell me anything about no pragmatism, because every time we try to be pragmatic, we get our butts kicked. And that's the reality of the situation. That's real. And Allah knows best. Okay, everybody. All righty. All right, we're going to wrap this up, but let's see if we can take one more. Okay, have you heard from Sister Yvonne Ridley? Why is she so quiet on the current issues? She was once on the forefront. Yes, I did speak to Sister Yvonne Ridley, and she was actually supposed to be on the boat with Greta Thunberg. But she wasn't able to make it. She's still there. She's doing her thing, and she is very active. May Allah preserve her. Ameen. All right, let's take one last one. Okay, last one. Let's take a look and see. Okay, we've got here, it says, Salam, dear brother Bilal. Do you think Iran is genuinely opposing Israel? I have been reading from numerous sources that Iran actually a hidden ally of Israel, or is pretending to be their enemy. I think that the enmity between the two is definitely there. But I think there's a lot that's going on under the table that most of us don't know about. But I call that irrelevant in this current climate, because I believe very seriously that whatever the Israelis may have promised the Iranians in the past, they're not honoring it. And they want to do away with the government and install this Reza Pahlavi, who's the son of the former dictator that was supported by the West, Mohammed Pahlavi. So that's what I think is the situation, and they want to do regime change. Now, understandably, maybe the Iranians say, okay, cool, well, you know what? We can do some things together and everything, but you talking about regime change, I can't get down with that. And I think that that's what you have, the current conflict, and Allah knows best. We'll have to monitor it and see what else becomes apparent. All right, brothers and sisters. All right, we got some good questions here. Let's see. Okay, we've got here, we got Mustafa here who says, according to latest info, British carrier passed Suez Canal and Chinese flagship is seen in the Strait of Hormuz. How likely are we to witness World War III? It's possible, brother. Let me give it to you straight. It's possible, because if this continues and Iran and Israel continue to go at it, it is totally outside of the sphere of interest for the United States to watch Israel get smashed. Iran doesn't have the ability to do regime change in Tel Aviv, as far as I can tell, and Allah knows best, but they can inflict some serious losses on them if they play their cards right. America's not going to stand by forever and watch that happen. They can't afford to. But if the Americans were to get into the fray, it's not within the sphere of interest of Russia and China to sit by and watch Iran get smashed and mopped out, because they're going to come for them shortly thereafter, and they understand that, and Turkey also. The Iranians, the Israelis cannot afford to have Muslim military powers. The Russians and the Chinese cannot afford to allow the Americans to continue to arm proxy regimes and to continue to threaten their interests. At some point, they're going to have to make a stand. we could be looking at that right now. I highly doubt China would put itself directly into the war. They don't have much to gain. Oh, quite the contrary. All of these tariff wars, and their main adversary is America. If America and its main ally were quite busy and embroiled in different wars, oh, that would be a big plus for China. Number one. Number two, let's talk weapons markets. In the weapons markets, you see, when America sells F-16 planes, they sell them with end user agreements. Now, it's not like you buy an iPhone and you say, okay, well, look, I got an iPhone. I can do whatever I want with it. I can watch YouTube. I can watch Facebook. If there happens to be the Iranians saying death to America or something like that, I can watch that on my iPhone because I own it. But that's not the way the Americans do when they sell weapons. If you look at what happened in Pakistan, between Pakistan and India, the Pakistanis shot down French-made Indian planes using what? Chinese-made fighter jets. And wait a minute, somebody sit there and said, well, they got all these F-16s that they got from the Americans. What's up? How come they didn't shoot them down with the F-16s? Because the way that it works is that America sells you the plane. They have to keep the plane in a certain air base. Alongside of the plane are American personnel. They cannot deploy those planes against allies of America. So they would never be able to use those planes against Israel. Because if they do, two things happen. One, the Americans have the ability to lock out portions of the computer of the actual F-16. And who wants to be in the air of an F-16 and the computer ain't working? That's a real problem. Two, they also would shut off sending them parts to parts for the planes, because you can't have, it's like having a car and no ability to replace parts when parts wear out or go awry or something along those lines. So with an end user agreement like that, the Chinese are in a key position because they don't have such stringent rules when they sell military supplies to other countries, i.e. Pakistan used it to take on the Indians. Now, okay. All righty. Okay. Okay, one last question here. We've got Zuzilla, who says, Salam, Brother Bilal. Leave religion out of this point of view for a second, and I know you can't. The only reason Iran supported Assad was they were the only two countries left that wasn't under the and it got cut off here. Trying to see where the rest of the question is, but it doesn't seem to be there. Oh man, it looked like it was a good question coming. Yeah, it doesn't seem like the rest of the question is there. All right, well, look, brother, if you can, why don't you send it to us next time? It would be good if you could send it to us because it seemed like an interesting question. We're going to try to answer it. All right, brothers and sisters, we're going to have to wrap this up. But before we do, I need to ask you guys for your help. Guys, please help us out. We've got this Voices of Truth project where we are documenting the crimes of the Assad regime so that, as my mother used to say, those who do not know history are doomed to repeat it. We don't want people to repeat it. We don't want Muslim countries to repeat it. So what we need is to have clear video testimony of those people who were oppressed by the Assad regime, those who are ex-prisoners, those who had family members who disappeared and never returned, and even some of the people who meted out some of the oppression. We are going all around this country interviewing all sorts of people, the rich ones, the poor ones, the white ones, the black ones, or I should say dark brown ones, so that we can bring these stories to you. translating them from Arabic into English, but we need your help. This on the screen right there is medina.com/voices of truth. That's our crowdfunding page. We got to have your help. We need your support if we can make this a reality. So please visit our crowdfunding page. That's medina.com/voices of truth. I am your host, Bilal Abdul KAREEM. Jazakum Allah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.